Now, talking about how companies communicate with their shareholders, and Sozzi, you mentioned Adam Aron's aggression on Twitter over the last couple of days. Well, Elon Musk, certainly the most aggressive of any CEO out there. And so let's start with the story. So we see here Elon Musk tweeting about Baby Shark. Stock goes up a little bit. But I think the real story here with Musk out from the Journal last night, saying that the SEC communicated with Tesla a couple of different times on Musk violating their agreement, the SEC's agreement and Musk's agreement on what he would and would not tweet. Now, I'm of two minds here, Julie. I think we all know that Elon Musk is not really abiding by those standards, but it is always interesting when these communications get leaked to the press. The SEC is clearly unhappy about this state of play, and they would like the business paper of record to make Tesla aware of this and perhaps I don't think anything is going to change, but they're just flagging here for everybody that thinks they're asleep at the wheel with Tesla, that they are trying to change the state of affairs.
Yeah, good luck, SEC, unless they're actually going to do something a little bit more punitive in this case. And to be clear, the SEC didn't say to Elon Musk, don't tweet, right? They didn't even say don't tweet anything material. They said if you're going to tweet, from at least my reading of it is, if you're going to tweet something material, if you're going to tweet a forecast for the company, for example, you have to get it vetted by lawyers. And seemingly that's not what he did. In a couple of cases, he tweeted without getting it vetted. And by the way, this isn't even bringing into the conversation his tweets about crypto that seem to move the market, right? It's strictly stuff that has to do with Tesla specifically. Now, there's no winning here really for the SEC, right? Because what can they do? They've set out this guideline for him. I suppose they can fine him and the company, which they of course have done in the past, again, if they want to do it. But I mean, Elon's going to do what Elon's going to do. So it seems like so is the SEC, but there's sort of a stalemate situation here, right? Because the SEC has to do its due diligence. I don't know if at some point they could block him from Twitter, but it certainly doesn't seem to be that we're at that point. So it seems like this is just going to continue as it has been, right? He'll just tweet what he wants to tweet. They'll slap him on the wrist occasionally, right?
Yeah, well, look, this is a failure of corporate governance in Tesla. My interpretation was that the board was supposed to be approving these tweets. And so let's just go head over to the Tesla more formal investor relations page and see who's on that board. You have Elon Musk, bro, Larry Ellison, a billionaire. They are friends. They are hashtag besties. You name it. It's hard to see Larry Ellison, despite being on that board, stepping up to Elon Musk and saying, hey, dude, don't tweet that out. You're not supposed to be doing it. Oh, yeah. And just below Larry Ellison on the Tesla IR website, you have Kimball Musk, his brother. So it's unlikely Kimball Musk, who is a long-time restaurateur, stepping in with his cowboy hat and telling Elon Musk, hey, dude, probably shouldn't put out this tweet. Not a good look. So you have a very friendly, cozy board that is unlikely to change anytime soon. Hence, you will continue to likely see these tweets from Elon Musk.
I mean, I think the initial agreement, Sozzi, sort of implied that this was, how it was going to go down. And just to square the circle here on some of the process here, as you mentioned, this was sent to Tesla's board. Tesla, of course, in an interesting move a couple of years back, they got rid of their PR department. So if you go to ask Tesla for comment, there's no one there to offer comment. Musk will often reply to media reports and things on Twitter. So that effectively is the company's comment. And just want to note, the Journal obtained this through a FOIA request. But the thing with FOIA is that they can always deny the request. So there was clearly no issue. And again, you can't just ask for all kinds of communication. So the Journal is after something specific. Those types of FOIA requests tend to get approved. But also, if there were something in there that a certain agency did not want to be revealed, they could make an argument that they didn't need to release this. The fact that the Journal did obtain this through that FOIA request suggests, at least in my interpretation, and maybe I'm overinterpreting it here, that the SEC is comfortable and I'm probably pleased that some of this communication is getting out, if only to clear the air on whether they care, Julie, about investors viewing their enforcement of this issue as legitimate or as an attempt towards legitimacy. Because again, the agreement has been flaunted for years now, and none of us really expect that to change.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one more thing on the board side, not on the SEC side. The SEC seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing, or at least, as you say, this leak it seems to illustrate that or point in that direction. As for the board, yes, at a traditional company, it would be a no-brainer. It would be logical for corporate governance to kick in and for them to curb Musk's tweets. But on the flip side, when he was tweeting this stuff in 2019 and 2020, look what the stock was doing. So purely from a stock return perspective, the board was doing what they were supposed to be doing, which was letting him do his thing and letting the stock ride up. Now, this year, we've seen the stock come down, as we have tended to see in the past when a company is not doing as well. Well, then you start to see a little bit more control of a CEO who's outspoken, or a little bit more control of a company in general that might be doing practices that when they're riding high do not come under as much scrutiny. Now, I don't think 11.5% down is enough for Tesla shares for that to happen. So I think we're at status quo here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back to the beginning of this, it was all around the funding secured, 420 going private, tweets. That was at a split adjusted $160 per share, something like that. And right now the stock is trading at 630. So there's a very, 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 very long way to go, I think, for Tesla stock if we're to get in a position where all of a sudden, investors or the board would view Elon as CEO of not, kind of doing his fiduciary duty. I mean, the stock has been amazing for long-term shareholders. It continues to be good for shareholders on, at this point, on pretty much any kind of 1, 2, 3, 5-year rolling basis. And so, things were different in 2018 for Tesla, for sure. There were a lot more questions back then about how the business was going to perform longer term. Those questions have long since been answered there. So again, stock up about 10x from funding secured. So, again, a long way to go before we start talking about Tesla's future as a going concern in any kind of credible way.